Madam C.J. Walker. From a cotton field to America's first self-made female millionaire, she was born in a one-room shack on a Louisiana plantation. Both her parents were dead by the time she was 7. She was washing other people's laundry for $1 a day, raising a daughter alone, and going completely bald from stress and bad hygiene products. By the time she died, she was the wealthiest self-made woman in America, black or white. Her name was Madam C.J. Walker. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how a woman with nothing, no education, no money, no connections, built an empire that's still studied in business schools over 100 years later. Stay with me, because point number 2 is the one most people get completely wrong about her success. Welcome back to the channel, where we break down the real stories behind history's greatest empires. Not the sanitized textbook version, but the gritty, how did they actually do it version. Today's story is Sarah Breedlove. You probably know her better as Madam C.J. Walker. Here's the thing about her story. It's not a fairy tale. There's no lucky break, no rich uncle, no overnight success. It's a story about a problem, a product, and relentless execution. And honestly, the 3 lessons we're about to pull from her life apply just as much to a YouTuber starting today as they did to a hair care entrepreneur in 1905. Let's get into it. Sarah Breedlove was born in 1867 in Delta, Louisiana. Her parents had been enslaved. She was the first child in her family born free, but free didn't mean easy. She was orphaned at 7, married at 14 to escape an abusive household, widowed at 20, and a single mother shortly after. She moved to St. Louis, where she worked as a washerwoman, earning about $1.50 a day. To put that in perspective, that's barely enough to keep a roof over her and her daughter's heads, let alone save anything. And then a personal crisis hit. Sarah started losing her hair. Stress, poor diet, and the harsh soaps available at the time were destroying the scalps of Black women across the country. There was no product designed for them. The hair care industry simply ignored an entire population. That gap, that ignored problem, is where the empire begins. Here's the first big lesson. Sarah didn't go looking for a market opportunity in a spreadsheet. She was the market. She experimented with her own scalp. She tried different formulas, learned from working briefly as a sales agent for another Black hair care entrepreneur, Annie Malone, and then took everything she learned and built her own line, eventually branded as Madam C.J. Walker's Wonderful Hair Grower. Now, here's the real-world parallel, so you really get this. Think about Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx. She didn't have a fashion degree. She had a personal problem. She wanted shapewear that didn't show under white pants. And she built a billion-dollar company solving it for herself first. Same with Sarah Breedlove. She wasn't an outsider studying the Black hair care market and deciding it looked profitable. She was a Black woman with damaged hair in a country that offered her 0 solutions, so she built her own. That's the first lesson for anyone building anything. Whether it's a business, a channel, or a brand. The most durable companies usually solve a problem the founder has actually lived through. You don't need an MBA to spot the opportunity. You need to pay attention to your own frustrations. This is the part most people get wrong when they tell her story. They think Madam C.J. Walker succeeded purely because her hair product worked. It didn't hurt. But the real engine of her empire was distribution and marketing, decades before personal branding was even a phrase. Here's what she actually did. She traveled door to door, demonstrating her products in person on Black women's actual scalps, not just talking about them, showing results. Then she built a sales force. Not employees, agents. Thousands of Black women across the country sold Walker products on commission, going door to door in their own communities. At its peak, she employed an estimated 20,000 sales agents. Think about what that means strategically. She wasn't just selling hair product. She was creating an entire economic ecosystem where Black women, many of whom had been domestic workers like she once was, could become entrepreneurs themselves, earning more in a week selling Walker products than they could in a month doing laundry. The real-world comparison here is almost eerie. This is the exact same model Mary Kay Ash would use 50 years later with Mary Kay Cosmetics, and it's the same model modern direct sales and affiliate marketing businesses use today. Madam Walker was running an influencer and affiliate network before the telephone was even common in most American homes. She also branded herself relentlessly. She changed her name from Sarah Breedlove to Madam C.J. Walker, taking her third husband's name and the title Madam, giving herself an image of authority and elegance that demanded respect in an era when Black women were rarely given either. She put her own face on the product tins. In a time when Black businesswomen were often invisible, she made herself impossible to ignore. So, Lesson 2. A great product is the entry fee. The empire is built on distribution, branding, and getting your product into as many hands, and your story into as many minds, as possible. You can have the best product in the world, but if nobody trusts the name behind it or knows it exists, it doesn't matter. Here's where the story moves from successful entrepreneur to true empire builder, and it's the part that should hit you the hardest. By 1910, Madam Walker had moved her company headquarters to Indianapolis and built a factory, a hair salon, and a beauty school to train her sales agents. By the early 1900s, the exact year is debated, but estimates place it around 1917, she had become America's first self-made female millionaire of any race. Some historians describe her as the wealthiest Black woman in America at the time, and her estimated net worth at death has been placed at roughly $1 million in 1919 dollars, equivalent to tens of millions today. But here's what separates her from 1,000 other rich people in history. She didn't hoard it. She funded scholarships for Black students at the Tuskegee Institute. She gave generously to the NAACP, including a major gift that helped fund their anti-lynching campaign. She built the Villa Lewaro, a mansion in Irvington, New York, designed partly to prove, visibly, undeniably, that Black Americans could achieve the same wealth and elegance as anyone else in the country. She hosted activists, intellectuals, and political leaders there, turning her personal home into a hub of the civil rights conversation decades before the movement had that name. The real-world parallel today? Think about how Oprah Winfrey built her media empire and then poured hundreds of millions of dollars into education, including building schools in South Africa. Or how Robert F. Smith paid off the student debt of an entire graduating class at Morehouse College. This is the same pattern. Wealth isn't the finish line. It's the tool you use to open doors for the people coming after you. Madam Walker once said something that still gets quoted in business circles today. She told a convention of her own sales agents that she wasn't a self-made millionaire in the way people assumed. She'd built herself up from nothing, and she wanted them to know they could do the exact same thing. That's lesson 3. A true empire doesn't end with your own bank account. It multiplies opportunity for everyone connected to it. So let's bring it together. Madam C.J. Walker went from an orphaned laundrywoman earning $1.50 a day to the first self-made female millionaire in American history. And she did it through 3 things. 1, she solved a problem she had personally lived through, not one she studied from a distance. 2, she treated marketing and distribution as seriously as the product itself, building a 20,000-person sales army out of women's society had written off. 3, she turned her personal wealth into collective power, funding education, civil rights, and opportunity for an entire generation. None of this happened because she got lucky. It happened because she refused to accept the limits placed on her by poverty, by racism, by sexism, by an industry that pretended people like her didn't exist. If this story moved you even a little, do me a favor. Hit hit subscribe, because every week on this channel we break down a different empire builder just like this. The real story, not the textbook version. And drop a comment below. Out of those 3 lessons, solving your own problem, mastering distribution, or building collective power, which one do you think you're weakest on right now? I read every single comment, and I want to know. If you want the next deep dive delivered straight to you, turn on notifications, because next week's story might just be the push you need to start building your own empire. I'll see you in the next one.